Geordies, it's International Week, and what's better than looking for a shiny new toy for the summer? What's better than a new player coming to your football club? We all know Eddie Howe wants a new centre-back, otherwise he wouldn't have bid 60 million for Marc Geuhi last summer. Didn't materialise, but look, there's plenty more fish in the sea, and we're going to be analysing four possible recruits for Newcastle United. We all know we've got Fabian Schar, we've got Sven Botman, we've got Kraft, we've got Dan Burn, who have all been excellent players for us over the past couple of years, but they're not getting any younger, and that's a brute reality. Nobody likes goodbyes, but goodbyes do happen. So I posted out on Twitter and I said I'm considering making a video on centre-back options for Newcastle United, and this was a list that was given to us. So I've picked out four from the list that are highlighted in bold. We're going to be looking at Antonio Silva, Nathan Collins, Ousame Diomande, and Cristhian Mosquera. When scouting defenders, there's three styles you look at. There is defending styles where they're like a no-nonsense defender. There's a well-rounded style where they've got a nice combination of technicality and physicality. Or there's your ball-playing centre-backs as well. That's like your Dean Huijsens. That's very, very capable in possession, almost like a midfielder. But it's important to analyse how Eddie Howe's seen Fabian Schar, and these are the words from Eddie Howe. There won't be many centre-halves like Fabi. He is a total one-off, I think. He's a very good defender, and he is absolutely concentrated and well-trained. He is a good defender, as I've seen. Then he went on to say he reads the game well, and the interceptions that he makes are second to none. But he'll probably tell you his best strengths are his on-ball qualities. He can see things and execute things that not many other centre-halves are capable of doing. That's why he's so important to us. So Fabian Schar plays an important role in and out of possession for Newcastle United. That's why we'll probably need a well-rounded centre-back, somebody who's good defensively, but also good with the ball at their feet. I want to know your preferred choice in the comment below. Let us know in the comments below who you want to see at Newcastle United as an understudy to Fabian Schar. And the first centre-back we're going to be talking about is Mosquera, who plays for Valencia in Spain. He's aged 20, was born in 2004. He stands at 6'2". He's got a nice, broad, wide build about him. He's made 80 senior appearances with no injuries, and his market value is around 30 million. So what are his strengths? Well, he's kind of like a defensive style defender, no-nonsense style defender. He loves to duel, loves to win the ball back. So he's an active defender. He's very good in one-on-one situations. He's got a high defensive volume action, but more importantly, he's got a high success rate, which we're going to be touching on very shortly. He's technical, very good, but his passing range is good, but it's not exceptional. So what are his weaknesses? Well, he's still incredibly raw, and he is prone to errors. We've seen that in La Liga. If you regularly watch him, you'll see that he does make mistakes, whether that be with his positioning or his defensive style, where he can get caught too static and he gets dribbled past too often. But he lacks passive range and progressiveness. Now, for me, this is down to Valencia's style of play. I think if you put him into a team like Newcastle with better passing options that he'll have available, you will see that progressiveness increase. But one thing that does worry me, and it's quite a funny one, because he's got a great leap, he's got strength, he's got a good size about him, it's his aerial ability. Sometimes he mistimes his aerial jumps and lacks accuracy when he's leaping. So he's got the tools there. He just needs a bit of coaching. So how does he exactly compare to Fabian Schar? Well, I've used data from last season. So this is in 2023-24 season. The reason I've done this is because I've played very, very similar minutes. So you've got a larger pool to pick from as well, because this season is still not over. But as you can see, he's an elite duel winner. He wins the vast amount of his duels, defensively duels, should I say. 95% of his defensive duels have been won by Mosquera. That is absolutely exceptional for any player. 95%, whereas Fabian Schar is only winning 22% of his duels. So it just goes to show what type of defender you're getting. This is why I say in the categories, remember the three categories: the defending, the well-rounded, and the ball playing. He's definitely a defending style defender because he's an elite duel winner. Now, there is a few concerns about him, but I think this is more likely down to Valencia's style of play, because if you look at the statistics, you would think he's not great on the ball at all, because he's very low in his progressive passes, his forward passes, his touches, his passes per 90, very, very low. But I put this down to Valencia's style of play because they're not a team that like to play from the back. So the centre-backs don't really see a lot of the ball. However, one thing I will say, he has got a forward mentality because he plays more forward passes than Fabian Schar. Fabian Schar plays a lot more progressive passes, but Mosquera plays a lot more forward passes. Now, I don't want to sound like a know-it-all, but the difference between the two is a forward pass is just when you play the ball into a midfield. Progressive pass is when you play a pass that moves your team into a different section of the field. So, for example, if you're in your defensive section, if you play a forward pass and it progressives your whole team into the middle section, that's a progressive pass. If you just play a ball in midfield and then he recycles possession again, that's just a forward pass in the midfield without moving the whole team forwards. Does that make sense? But as you can see, Fabian Schar carries the ball a lot more. But one thing I will say, on the eye test, Mosquera is a very, very good ball carrier. He just doesn't do a lot at Valencia. So if you were to move him into a team like Newcastle United, where they encourage the players to play out from the back and they encourage the defenders to roam forward with the ball like you see with Fabian Schar, I've got no qualms that he can do it. But the two concerns I do have with Mosquera is his aerial ability and he's prone to a mistake. Now, he's very, very young and still raw, so those mistakes will get cut out of him, but he needs to just understand, have a little bit more composure about him. So who is Diomande? Well, he's 21 years old at the moment. He was born in 2003. He stands at a colossal 6'3". He's made 92 senior appearances, a lot of those in Europe as well. So he's brought that, he could bring that experience with him. He's missed 22 days in 3 games through injury, and his market value is about 40 million. What are his strengths? Well, he's physically imposing. Well, you would expect that being 6'3", but he's very athletic as well. He's got a high defensive volume, just like Mosquera. He's excellent one-on-one defending. He's comfortable in wide areas because he's played in the back 3 as well as a back 4. And it's important to be good in wide areas when you're playing a part of a back 3. But he's got speed, acceleration. He makes good recovery runs. And he's so comfortable and composed in possession. He's very, very good with his progressive passes, but also his ball carrying. So what are his weaknesses? Well, he's over-eagerness to get involved, leave space in behind. Sometimes he just gets caught too much trying to win the ball back too early, and therefore he gives away needless free kicks and picks up needless yellow cards. But also the use of his weaker foot, and sometimes that can limit and restrict passing angles, so he always come back on his right hand side. He might not get the time in the Premier League to do that. So how does he statistically compare to Fabian Schar? Well, as you can see, the ball at his feet is unquestionable. He gets heavily involved in the build-up. He makes 89.5 passes per 90. A lot of them, 89.9 of those have been forward passes. And he ranks highly, not as good as Fabian Schar for progressive carries and progressive passes. So he gets heavily involved in the build-up. But the eye-catching thing to all this, how well-rounded he is. I don't like to look at defensive actions because you can make a lot of defensive actions but lose a lot of defensive duels. Whereas his duel percentage win is extraordinary. Just like Mosquera, he's an elite ball winner. 94.5% he's winning of his duels. That is, again, absolutely incredible. Now, I understand he's playing in the Portuguese league, so if he was to transition into the Premier League, that percentage will lower. It will decrease because he'll be playing against better players with a better speed of thought. They'll just knock the ball around them or have better manipulation. So it will decrease, but again, 94% in any league is still outstanding. So you can see just from that graphic how extremely well-rounded Diomande is. He's an elite. He's got elite attributes. Quick, he's strong, he's physical, he's comfortable in possession, he's composed when he's defending and with the ball at his feet. He's just an exceptional defender, and I've got no qualms about him coming and playing in the Premier League. Yes, it would need time to develop and get used to the league, but eventually he would be an absolute excellent Premier League defender. So next up is Antonio Silva, and this guy comes with a lot of education, a lot of pedigree. He's had a lot of experience despite his age. 21 years old, stands at 6'2". He's made 124 senior appearances and not had one injury. That's exceptional. His market value is 38 million. What are his strengths? Well, he's a defender more than anything. He's a no-nonsense defender. He's got exceptional positional awareness. It's one of his best attributes, and he's very rarely caught out of position. That's what I love about him. He's so good at just being in the right place at the right time, using his anticipation and understanding the game. He's got very good football IQ. Again, high defensive volume actions. He excels in one-on-one dribblings, but we're going to be touching on this very shortly because there's some tweaks that I would like to be made. But more importantly, again, he has a high defensive success rate. His composure in possessions, excellent. He's got good personality on the pitch. He excels in his long ball distribution. And this is why this could be key to Newcastle United, because we're quite direct. We want to hit our runners, and his vision from deep could absolutely thrive in a Newcastle United team. Now, it's funny when you watch Antonio Silva, because there's moments where you think his one-on-one defending is excellent. He gets his timing right. He gets his positions right. He gets his angles right. But there's still moments where he's too static, and he uses a step tackle. It's very, very similar to Ruben Diaz, where he steps into the challenge and it often bypasses him. So he's still raw when it comes to one-on-one defending, but there is signs that he can definitely improve on that. And aerially, another funny one, because he's better than Fabian Schar aerially, but again, there's still room for improvement. That's when he's dueling in the air. Sometimes he can get bullied too much when he comes off the ground, and he needs to have better accuracy and timing. So how does he compare to Fabian Schar? Again, we're going to be comparing these individually, well, collectively very shortly. But as you can see, again, he's very, very well-rounded. Maybe he needs to add a lot more progressiveness to his passes, but every pass he makes is forward. You can see that by how many passes percentage results in forward passes, but he's very comfortable at bringing the ball out from the back, just a little more than Fabian Schar. Yes, remember, he's playing in a lesser league, so that his statistics will probably come down a little bit when he comes to the Premier League, but the tools and attributes are all absolutely there. He's winning 77% of his duels, which is a very, very high figure. When you remember, Fabian Schar's only winning 22% of his last season. And when I say aerially, there is areas for improvement, but he's not bad. I would say anything over 50% of your aerial duels, you're in the good category, but he's just sitting at 52. So if I was looking at that, if I was Eddie Howe, I'd be saying, look, I want to get that percentage up. How can we make that percentage up? And it's all about timing. But again, when it comes to the ball at his feet and defensive actions, I'm not worried about that. You can see his defensive actions are very, very low, but that's just because of the team he plays in. Benfica hardly do any defending in the Portuguese league. They've got the highest percentage of possession. So he's always got the ball. Benfica have always got the ball. So he does very minimal defending. So it's all about the percentage of wins rather than the actions made. And then we've got Nathan Collins, who's got experience in the Premier League. And I don't know about you guys, but I get the impression that Eddie Howe loves Premier League experience. So I kind of think if I was to present all these four to Eddie Howe, he'll probably pick Nathan Collins just on Premier League experience alone. That's what I think. I could be wrong, but 23, we all know he plays for Brentford. He stands at a colossal 6'4". He's absolutely huge. He's made 121 senior appearances. Now, he's missed 138 days, 28 games through injury throughout his career at Brentford and Wolves, and he's valued at about 28 million. I just rounded up to 30. So what are his strengths? Well, he's quite well-rounded without being well-rounded. So he's got the Premier League experience, as I mentioned, but he's got exceptional positional awareness. He's good, excellent one-on-one defending. He's brilliant in the air, and he's an excellent box defender. The weaknesses I watch when I watch Nathan Collins is his decision-making. He lacks the alertness and aggression to go out and win the ball. You never see him trying to press up high, and I think Newcastle United like that, because when we go to a man-to-man press, we go to a man-to-man press. We will engage higher up the pitch with our two centre-backs. He doesn't really do that at Brentford, so it'll be interesting to see him coming in Newcastle United and if he can get accustomed and get used to that. Brentford are a team that like to keep their shape, so they very rarely go out and engage. They want to keep their shape and then attack on the break. That's Brentford's style, so he doesn't get much involved in the build-up either. But again, that could be down to Brentford's style of play. So how does he compare to Fabian Schar? So as you can see, very rarely gets involved in the build-up for Brentford. I mean, look at Fabian Schar. He's averaging 61.6 passes, whereas Nathan Collins only averaging 22.5 passes. But when it comes to defensive attributes, he's excelling. High defensive actions with a good percentage of wins, with a good aerial percentage of wins. But when it comes to ball carrying, progressive in the play and getting involved in the build-up, It's not quite there yet. But again, like I say, that could just be down to Brentford's style of play. I don't think he's as good as Fabian Schar in possession. That's just my opinion. I don't know what you guys think. But from what I've seen, when he does have the ball in these feet, he's not as comfortable and as mobile. You can see it's not natural to him. So I kind of feel like he suits a team like Brentford. He would suit Newcastle when it comes to defending. But again, it's just stepping out and engaging that like Eddie Howe likes to do, that he would have to get used to. But when he's got the tools again, he's a monster, 6'4". He's very, very difficult to bypass in one-on-one situations and in transition moments. So this is how they all compare together. Let's just get my head out of the way. So as you can see, you got Fabian Schar at the top, Diomande, Mosquera, Antonio Silva, and Nathan Collins. So if we go through them individually, Diomande is standing out for passes. He gets involved in the build-up. He wants the ball at his feet. He's the guy that receives the ball off the keeper and begins from deep. He's the initial start of that build-up phase. Then when it comes to forward passing, Antonio Silva stands above everybody with 97.1%. But when it comes to progressive passes, Fabian Schar stands above everybody. You've got Diomande just in behind him. But again, I think that's because of style of play. Sporting style of play is a lot more progressive than Benfica's. Benfica like to play through the lines a lot more. Sporting is a lot more direct. And I think Newcastle United is a lot more direct. So I think if Diomande was to come into Newcastle's system, it's very similar to what he's playing at the moment. And these are the things you've got to think about, because Nathan Collins doesn't really get involved in the build-up because Brentford don't play out from the back as much as Benfica would. Valencia don't play out from the back at all. Then you've got Antonio Silva, where it's more rotational play, more playing through the lines, more diagonal passes is what professionally you like to call them. But when it comes to defensive actions, you've got Mosquera and Nathan Collins absolutely excelling in those areas. But again, I don't look at that in isolation, because Benfica and Sporting don't really do much defending in their league because they've always got possession. So the key area you want to look at is the percentage of defenses actions won. And as you can see, Diomande and Mosquera and Antonio Silva, pretty much all of them are very, very high, but it's elite numbers from Diomande and Mosquera. When it comes to aerial percentage won, look at Mosquera, just 9.9. This is what I'm saying. He's got the frame and the attributes to be very good in the air, but sometimes you're disappointed from what you see. And as you can see, Shaw's not very good in the air area either. He's only winning 17% of his duels, whereas the others are flying. You've got Collins winning 70%, Diomande, who's winning 80%, because he's very athletic. He's got a wonderful leap on him, and he can tower above a lot of players. When it comes to progressive carries, Fabian Schar, Antonio Silva, and Diomande are standing out above everybody. But again, that's down to style of play, because I've seen Mosquera on the ball and he's very comfortable bringing out from the back. I haven't really seen much of Collins do it, but I've definitely seen Mosquera do it. So the numbers are a bit misleading on that one. But look, all these have got wonderful attributes. It's kind of how you've fit them into your system. Now, I definitely see Diomande fitting in Newcastle style of play. I definitely see Mosquera doing it, but there has to be work done with him. Same with Antonio Silva and same with Collins. But look, football's all based on opinions, and I love to get interactions from you guys. So I want to hear your opinions on them four. Is there any of them four that you would like to see at Newcastle United? Maybe as a Fabian Schar understudy, because I do think Fabian Schar will stay for next season. So it's somebody to bring in more depth and just learn from Fabian Schar and get used to the Premier League and the systems. So I want to hear your thoughts. Drop us a comment in the below on those four. And if there's anybody in particular you would like us to look at for next time, and if is the different style you want us to do, or do you like this type of presentation, or do you want to see a different style? Let us know in the comments below, because I'm open to constructive criticism as always. But again, I just want to say I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to put these on the screen one more time for you so you can have a look and see who might be coming next. But thank you very much for your time, and until next time, away the lads.